Yeah, so I've been with the Los Angeles Fire Department for 34 years now, and I've gone to some pretty noteworthy incidents. The World Trade Center, Hurricane Katrina, and some of our more recent disasters, Hurricane Irma and Harvey. And uh, it's really important to, like I said, be good at what you do. Know your position. If you feel uncomfortable, that's okay. But get getting training to advance within your position is very important. And we all do risk assessments, risk analysis within our organizations. But what happens when, like he was talking about, that black swan event? What the incident within the incident? And that's some of the topics I'd like to talk to you about today. We just recently had an incident, the Boyd Street fire, and I'm going to share this with you on my, if I can do it here. Can you see my video?
No, Wade, we can't see a video. We just have a slide. Okay. Oh.
How's that?
Can we see a video?
No video?
So we can see your slide, but no video. Sorry, Wade. We can see the slide says incident history.
Okay. So the Boyd Street incident, just to provide a description, was one that it had to do with a marijuana processing operation, and what they had done within this building was stored butane. We had no idea that would be considered one of your unknowns, and it was a bad situation. These firefighters, we send them to the roof. I'm an incident commander. We send them to the roof. They ventilate, and then you have companies that go in and fight fire on the inside. One of those unknowns, we're going into a high risk environment, and then you have the incident on top of the incident. How do you deal with that? How do you keep cool and calm and be able to process the incident that's still taking place? But also, I have 11 firefighters who are badly burned and need to be transported, plus a progressing fire that's damaging additional property and causing havoc to the rest of the community. So, it's one of those things that how does this apply to your business? Well, you're doing risk analysis, risk assessments, but what happens when that incident takes place within your organization? Are you ready to handle that? Do you have a concept of operations that you will utilize to manage that incident? Because a lot of times, if you have a catastrophic event, you're not going to see the fire department or law enforcement for a good period of time. Earthquakes, hurricanes, you name it. We have a duty to act, and you as health and safety experts, you all have a duty to act. And what does that mean? That means you've got the burden of the command to make sure that you take care of your organization, because you can see with this COVID situation, your folks expect you to step up and be a leader and guide them in the direction that they need to go. So add the risk assessment. What is the risk? You can go down through the line and figure out what it is that your risk is, and assess each risk, and then go ahead and come up with a plan for such. Do you have the staffing? Have you trained your staffing? Your equipment? Is your equipment adequate? Does it meet the current OSHA standards, NIOSH? In my particular case, NFPA standards, is it meeting those standards? And that's important for you as a leader and also a manager or executive within your organization to make sure that you manage that properly. What is your process? What is your risk analysis process? What kind of flow chart are you using to manage that risk, that process? There are a lot of military standards that are available to you, standards that we utilize in emergency services, fire department, police department, emergency operations centers, that you can get a flow chart of these risk analysis processes and evaluate your risk in that particular manner. I can't see it. I lost the slide. Can you, there we go. Your decision-making indicators. As you see there, there's a fire with fully involved structure, and to apply it to any sort of situation, your decision-making indicators, are you gonna send people into that building? Me as an incident commander, I would not. And you're gonna possibly face a life-threatening situation where you've got to take action. Do you utilize, do you have decision-making factors? Have you practiced sets and reps as far as how you're gonna evolve through that emergency incident or that incident within the incident that you've that you're faced with? Your strategy and tactics. I utilize a set of strategy and tactics, basically a flow chart on once I send somebody into a structure or on top of a structure. This photo that you see here, firefighters on top of a roof, fully involved. You'd say that's crazy. Yeah, to most it is crazy, but that's a tactic that we use, a strategy that we use to let the heat out of the building so that firefighters can go inside and affect firefighting operations. And this is what was happening at the Boyd Street incident, where individuals were on the roof, the incident went sideways, and those members on the roof got severely burned. Once again, your strategy and tactics. You know, in my world, that's not much of a fire there. I send the crew to the roof, they ventilate, crew goes inside, searches for occupants, and puts the fire out. But these are the ones where you become complacent, and that's what I wanted to indicate here. Those that you get the sets and reps, you get complacent in your thinking and in your operations, and if these are the ones that are going to come back and bite you. So it's important to always be alert and ready to handle any sort of situation where you got an incident within an incident. So your risk analysis process, very, very simply put for us, we risk a lot to save lives. We take extreme risks right down to us putting our lives on the line for you. Those that are seeking our help, we take extreme risk. But once again, how does this apply to other worlds? Take a look at the risks that you're being presented. Is this something that you really need to put life and limb on the line to manage? And that's all in discussion. You got to communicate, be transparent with your folks. You know, your risk analysis process just for this COVID situation. Do I bring people back into the workforce? Can I do it another way? Can I keep them at home and have them work from home or put them in other locations? So this risk analysis process, the slides you have in your slide tray from all your training and experience, it's important that that you talk about this and spend a lot of time working with it and training with it. once again, searching for occupants. That's where we take extreme risk, and once again, just trying to make the point of when we go in and when we don't, when we decide to stay out and take a defensive posture. Your application of the risk analysis process, once again, you can learn from the military, learn from us. We're doing this on a daily basis, but the military is where we received our information, and it's they have some great flow charts that you can find out there on the internet. The Everyone Goes Home initiative, and I brought this up. This is 16 firefighter life safety initiatives that we put in place. And I use it as an example because you may want to develop a set of initiatives. The initiatives are go into various areas, such as, one second here. We're defining and advocating what it is that we want to do to protect our members. For example, cancer is a big problem with firefighters. My lifespan is typically 10 years less than the common person who's not being exposed to the risks that I'm being exposed to. So these life safety initiatives that we put in place for firefighters is important, and it's something you might want to adopt for your organizations also. 16 initiatives are easy to remember. 10, start with 5 and develop a set of initiatives to protect your employees. Be glad to discuss with anybody any of that I covered.
Thank you very much indeed, Wade. Much appreciated. I just have a question while we wait for for audience questions. So there's much to learn from the military, there's much to learn from the fire service, and all that sort of thing. I'm just curious more than anything else. We are learning in the sort of business world that they're changing the way that things are run, moving from command and control to these sort of flat hierarchies. In your job, in what you do, and by the way, can I be the first to say, I'm sure not the first, what an incredible job you do all do. Is command and control still the most effective method?
Command and control is the most important, the most effective. You need a leader on scene in any situation. Somebody needs to step up and be that leader, and you just got to figure out who that's going to be within your organization. Some are born, some are trained, some you'll find the leader within your organization, and they'll rise to the top.
Well, that is another question I want to ask you. How much of this, because it feels there is an element of this role that feels vocational, that you're just drawn to it. How much of this is innate, particularly when we look around the safety aspect of it? How much of it is innate, and how much of it can be learned?
Yeah, like I said, going back to the beginning, your training and your experience, being exposed to those situations that really that you're not comfortable with in the beginning, you with the sets and reps, you learn to adapt to that situation, have the cool demeanor and the ability to lead individuals and have that command and control aspect. It's I think it depends on the individual. I've seen some folks that just crumble with the leadership portion, and they stay in a job class within our organization that fits their style. So some will rise to the top, and I think it's a born thing. I think they're born with it.
And what you do, in sort of situations like, for example, Northern California wildfires at the moment, you must be pretty much working 24/7 there. So in that situation, how do you ensure continual training? How do you do your sit reps? If somebody starts at the beginning of that kind of season, are they just sort of, you're just going to have to stay here while we go and do the stuff, or is there a way of training on the job as well?
Yeah, we train every day. I just deployed to Northern California. We were up there for about 12 days, and we were searching for victims. We were an urban search and rescue mission through law enforcement. And even while we're out there deployed, we move people around within our system, our 29-member team, to get them the sets and reps in a uncomfortable environment and train them. And that's how we build our leaders. But to answer your question, we train every day. We'll take a couple hours every day, and we'll take a situation, and whether it's sitting around the kitchen table or on the back of the fire engine and discussing, we put somebody in a difficult situation and make them answer the question. And if they have a difficult time, we train them up on a thought process and on a risk analysis process. What kind of process are you going to utilize to get through that situation? And that's how we train our leaders.
You make it sound so simple, but I know, Wade, it absolutely is not. There are years of experience in there. We do have a question for you from our audience from Carillion Clinic. Forgive me, I didn't quite hear the name. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good. It's Craig Bryant with Carillion Clinic here out of Roanoke, Virginia. How are you, Chief White?
Good morning. I'm good. Yourself?
Good. Good. Very good. It's good to hear a fellow fire officer speak. My question for you that I think would be applicable to this group, and first I'll just add a little bit of a commentary. I actually used my fire service experience to help work through the COVID pandemic here for my healthcare system using the ICS system, so forth and so on. One of the things that I used that seemed to work very well during what I would consider a high risk, low frequency event is the use of a safety officer. Would you talk about the role of the safety officer for this group and how that's applied to the incidents like you're speaking of, and how then they could take that information and possibly use that for it could be something as simple as you're using it for something new technique that's being employed in an organization to maybe you're having maybe somebody's having challenges with compliance with with safety initiatives. But first, can you speak about the role of a safety officer?
Thank you, Craig.
Certainly. You bring up a great point regarding the incident command system, and everybody here, I would like for you to go out and take a look at that on the internet. Pull up incident command system under either fire service or law enforcement. And within that incident command system, you have an organization. You have an incident commander. That's the person that's in charge. And when you have multiple agencies that are together, you have a unified command. And below the incident commander, you have a individual that is classified as a safety officer. And that person's job is to reports right to the incident commander and is to circulate throughout the scene of an event or an incident and make sure that people are wearing their equipment, safety gear. They're not going into areas that they're not supposed to go into, and the list goes on. And when you take a look at that incident command system, you'll see what their jobs, duties, and roles are. There's job aids there, and that's a great recommendation. I think everybody should take a look at it and put a safety component into anything that you do. Your incident command system can be used to manage any problem. You have a planning function, a logistics function, finance function, and an operational function. And below each of those functions, you build out that team, and it works. And that is what a leader does. And when you come onto scene of a situation within your organizations, and like you said with the COVID, incident command system worked perfectly for that. So please take a look at it. It's a good program, good system.
Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you, Craig. Thank you for your question. Much appreciated, sir.
Thank you,
we have
Chief.
another question for you, Wade, from John Martin at DuPont Sustainable Solutions. John, good morning, sir. There you go. Can you hear us okay?
I can, thank you.
Good. No worries. What's your question for Chief White?
Well, good morning, Wade, and again, thank you and your team for your dedicated service. Appreciated by everybody.
Thank you.
I'm very interested in hearing more about your 16 firefighter life safety initiatives. In general industry, a lot of companies have life-saving rules and life-saving programs that they focus on. But in your sector, you've identified 16 life safety initiatives. And can you talk about a couple of them that your people are most interested in and most engaged in?
Sure. Technology is one of the big ones. So taking a look at what the latest technology is, we just implemented a system of personal thermal imaging cameras for every position. Thermal imaging camera is a device that I'd be able to go into a fire where I can't see my hand in front of my face. And with the thermal imaging camera, I can see doors, windows, occupants that are down. That utilizing that technology and putting it in place for every one of our members was an initiative under this everyonegoeshome.com campaign, 16 life safety initiatives. Another one is the cancer. I talked about the cancer situation, and particular barrier hoods was a system that we put in place for our firefighters to keep the cancer-causing particles off of their face and their neck. 2 sets of gear so that when we go to an incident, we're able to clean one set so we're not riding home in the fire engine and getting everybody all contaminated. So they're very basic initiatives, but have far-reaching effects deep into a firefighter's career. And it's www.everyonegoeshome.com, and you can find those initiatives and implement something for your organization.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Wade. And hopefully you're getting all the financial support you need for those initiatives as well.
Well, it's interesting you say that. We have general fund accounts which cover the basics for us. And I'm heavily involved with the foundation within our organization. Those cameras, for example, those cameras were purchased by our LAFD foundation. So the little extras, we're utilizing donors to make firefighters safer, and it's much appreciative.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time and for your question. We have another one for you, inevitably, I guess. Yoni Klein from the New York City Fire Department is here. Yoni, what's your question for Wade, sir?
So, good morning, Chief. It seems we always seem to cross paths lately. So my question is, I'm sure other people have this challenge in this setting. In the fire service, we have a lot of, we have a very rich culture, right? The big joke we always say, we're 150 years of tradition unimpeded by progress. And we're always trying to transition. Obviously one of the 16 initiatives in the Fallen Firefighters Foundation, which Chief, I think is a great example, is about the culture change and getting people to shift into that culture of safety, to move away from maybe taking some risks that are unnecessary or adapting different protocols or procedures. What have you guys done over there on your coast to kind of combat those issues, to shift the focus from machismo and doing our job, which I think we all do very well, into taking into account all the safety needs?
You bring up a great point, and the culture change. Two things firefighters don't like: the way things are and change. So the implementing a cultural change, I think what we have to do, and we're using a lot out by us, is utilizing the younger generation with technology, and just utilizing that mindset of a different generation to advance with the technology and advance with the care and maintenance of their turnout gear, and just, for lack of a better term, you just keep beating them with this training, and I think it becomes a mindset. Our newer firefighters, they expect to have 2 sets of turnout gear. Where us, when we were, 30 years ago, we had 1 set, and it was a badge of courage to have a dirty set of gear. That's different now, and I think changing the organization through our younger members is the way to go. It's training and constantly hitting them with what's right, and let them know, hey, let's take that 10-year loss of life out of our careers, and let's make you live longer. And I think it's working out here by us. We'll see in 10 years or so how things change. Our gear needs to change. You take a look at a firefighter, and very traditional, particularly you guys back there, you got the traditional helmets, the leather helmets and the dirty gear, and everybody wants to be an FDNY guy. And I think that's changing. I think you'll see a change in 10 years. You're a young guy.
Thank you very much. Yoni, just before you go, if I can put the same question back to you, what are you doing as a kind of, a young guy? What are you doing to change that culture?
So, I'd say my primary function's research and development. So we're actually using equipment, training, and technology to try and bridge those gaps and leverage different types of mediums for education. Currently, I'd say the last couple of years, just like Chief White, we went through that cancer initiative to reduce our members' risk, in which we encouraged them about washing their gear, and actually the best results we got was actually face-to-face, that close, informal engagement, like actually going out and meeting the people and telling them what the truths are and showing them the facts, including the unpopular ones about cancer. Here, everyone focuses on 9/11 cancer because that actually is the one that's most given the most attention to. But we're seeing post 9/11 cancers, including members who are young. So a lot of education, a lot of awareness, a lot of engagement to try and address these safety concerns.
Well, it doesn't sound to me, Yoni, like you're unimpeded by progress at all. It sounds to me like there's a lot of progress there. Yoni, thank you very much indeed for your question. Really do appreciate it, sir. Hope to hear from you again. Wade, before we let you go, you talked about kind of technology a couple of times in your answers there. Can you talk us through the electric fire truck?
Oh boy, this is a good one. So about maybe 2 years ago, our fire chief Ralph Terrazas came to me and said, "Hey, Wade, Mayor Garcetti and myself want to figure out a way for sustainability to put an electric fire engine in place. Go find me one." So headed off to Linz, Austria, a company called Rosenbauer, and they just happened to have one in a warehouse that they were building. They showed it to me, had them bring it out here to the States, and we're going to be the first ones in the Western Hemisphere to have an electric fire engine. It's hybrid in nature, so until the battery technology is such that we can go 24 hours a day on a battery with a fire engine, we'll have that hybrid motor in there, and we plan to put it into the Hollywood area, and it'll run calls just like any other fire engine. But once again, it's really raising eyebrows as far as new technology with firefighters. There's a group that believes in leather helmets and horses, and then you got the millennials that are going, this might be kind of cool. It's going to be fun. So I think it's going to change the industry.